Tonight, you are going to need a strap. And if you've got it, a block or a thick book. If you don't have a strap, just something long. It can be a scarf or a looking down tie or something similar. And then I should just mute you both. I thought Lisa was joining us, but maybe she's not coming tonight. Mute. Yes. Okay. So see, as per usual, if anything is either too challenging or if it's not fitting with your body, just give me a wave, and I've got you on my laptop here, so I can actually see you. Yeah. So, Sam, you have a full-on halo behind you. It's great. I'll still see you wave, no worry. Okay. When you're ready, you're going to find a way all the way down to that, and I'd like you to take your block or book and your strap with you. And we're just going to start pretty slow to begin with, because it is very warm. I am very mindful of that. Just take the first few moments, closing down the eyes if you can, or at the very least lowering the gaze. And just letting the body settle in. Taking a moment to simply pause. And take a moment as well to acknowledge not only the way the body feels, but the way the mind feels too. Notice whether you're kind of running on adrenaline, or whether you're fairly calm. Taking a moment to observe yourself as you are, instead of what you'd like yourself to be. Beginning to shift the focus into the breath. Noticing whether you're breathing simply into the chest, or whether you can start to expand that breath, breathing down into the belly, the width of the rib cage all the way up into the chest and the collarbones. And then maybe exhale out through the mouth if it serves you to begin with. Just to really help us settle into that breath pattern. Expanding the belly, the width of the ribs, the chest, the collarbones, opening the mouth, gently letting the air sigh all the way out. Inhale into the belly, width of the body up into the chest, all the way up into the front and back. And exhale it out. Finding your own regular breathing pattern, we're going to start to introduce Ujjayi breathing into tonight's practice. Ujjayi is simply a warrior breath. It's an audible breath. Some people liken it to the sound of a wave crashing on the shore. Other people liken it to the sound of Darth Vader tucked into his mask on a hot day. You choose the metaphor for it that fits you better. But you're basically going to take a really deep breath in through the nose. And then imagine as you're exhaling that you're trying to fog up a mirror or a window in front of you. So it's quite a loud exhale. Doing that again, filling the belly and the chest. And trying to fog up that mirror in front of you. Filling the belly and the chest, and this time keeping the mouth closed, trying to create the same sound and pressure through the back of the throat. And again, breathe in the belly, the chest, creating that loud, audible exhale with the mouth gently closed. And then I'd like you to start to see if you can create the same audible inhale. So you're really trying to focus on drawing the breath from the back of the throat as opposed to consciously thinking about it coming in and out of the nose. Both inhale and exhale become audible sounds. The breath draws from the back of the throat. Long and slow. I'd like you to try and keep that breath pattern throughout your practice this evening. We're going to be moving quite slowly tonight. With your next inhale, gently start to bend the knees and plant the feet down. And just starting to create some movement in the pelvis, starting to tilt the hips forward and back. Creating space at the lower back as you push the hips down and forward. And as you imagine lifting this tailbone towards the ceiling, lifting the tailbone, sweeping it under, feeling the lower back come down against the mat. Just really exaggerating that movement. Rolling through the pelvis. And again, one more time. Good. Come to find a neutral position. Then I'd like you to think about drawing the ribcage in at the front of the body, and by doing so, you should feel the pelvis gently scoop underneath ever so slightly. So instead of cueing you to press the low back down into the mat, which creates a flat back posture that none of us really have in day-to-day life, I'd like you to just instead think about stabilizing the mid-back by drawing the ribcage in and down. With that, keeping that engagement, we're going to start to press gently through the feet, lift the hips, slide the block underneath. So you want to bring the block right underneath the glutes, and you can jimmy it up and down to find a position that feels slightly more comfortable for you. I typically have it right on the top of my pelvic structure, so at the very base of my spine. And then maybe see if you can straighten one leg, perhaps see if you can straighten the other leg down. Allowing the ankles to relax and the feet to feel heavily out to the side or fall in, depending on what your hips naturally want to do. Just start to find this exaggerated length, this space along the front of the body. There's a lot of postures in yoga that require serious length of the back of the body through the hamstrings, and equal amounts of length and strength at the front of the body in the psoas. If you're feeling like you're okay here, by all means reach the arms overhead, stretch them out behind you, and just exaggerate that length, that space at the front of the hip. Feeling the abdominals pull up, finding more space, more length through the whole front of the body. Taking 2 breath cycles here, continuing to reach the arms and perhaps starting to point the feet away too. And then gently release. Bring the hands down alongside the body. Start to gently bend the knees and plant the feet. the left leg where it is, I'd like you to bring the right knee in towards the chest. Bring both hands around the knee for a moment and just squeeze the knee in. So we're staying on the block if that's okay for your body. Squeezing that right knee in as tightly as you can towards the right armpit. So we're allowing a slight external rotation here of the hip. We're not coming straight back. We're opening out slightly towards the right shoulder, right armpit. And to exaggerate this a little bit further, I'd like you to start to roll onto the outer blade of the left foot, allowing the left knee to gently walk its way out a little bit to the left side. Got a bit of a diagonal going on here. The right shoulder is coming, right knee, sorry, is coming towards the right shoulder, and the left knee is gently winging out to the left side. Gently bring the left knee back up towards the center or towards the ceiling, and bring the right knee back in towards the middle of the chest. You can take a hold of your strap or whatever you've got, and we're going to bring it underneath the ball of the right leg and gently straighten the right leg up towards the ceiling. And that leg might be fairly low. Doesn't really matter where the leg is, making sure that we're pulling the toes down towards us. We're really dorsiflexing that ankle, making sure that we're finding length in the calf as well as the hamstrings. Every exhale, imagine trying to draw the right leg further towards you. And then slowly, again, if it feels okay for the body, start to straighten the left leg down. You might find that the right leg comes away from you further as the left leg extends. That's okay. Then I'd like you to pull the left toes towards you too, so both feet are dorsiflexed. And imagine really trying to press the left thigh actively down towards the ground, and imagine trying to pull the right leg towards you. So we should be intensifying things through the front of that left hip flexor and the back of the right hamstrings, the back of the right calf. Two more breath cycles here. Keep pressing the left heel away, the thigh down. And very slowly, we're going to start to bend the left knee, plant the foot. Keep the left hand, bring the left hand rather onto the left hip. Allow the left knee to wing out open again. We're going to start to draw the right leg out to the side. If this feels too much in the pelvis, by all means remove the block. You're allowing that right leg to come out to the right side. Keeping that left hip grounded, really applying some pressure through the left hand onto that left hip to make sure it stays on the block. Noticing where the body is starting to hold tension. Notice whether you're resisting and the glutes are tightened. Maybe see if you can soften a little bit more into this. One more breath cycle. Very slowly, I'd like you to bend the right knee. Good. And then draw both knees up towards the ceiling at the same time. And then release the right leg down. Good. Draw both knees in towards the chest. Squeeze them in. Plant the right foot down. We'll swap sides. So this time we're squeezing the left knee towards the left shoulder, the left armpit. So again, finding that slight external rotation with the left knee. And then starting to wing onto the outside of the right foot, encouraging the right knee to fall out. And it might not move out very much at all. That's okay. Finding that diagonal line through the body, 2 more breath cycles. And then as you inhale, gently bring both knees back towards the center. Take a hold of your strap. Bring it underneath the ball of the left foot this time. And straighten the leg all the way up. Good, so same again, starting by pulling the left toes down towards the face, straightening the leg as much as you can, trying to keep the left shoulder grounded. And then perhaps see if you can start to send the right leg away. Pulling the right toes back towards you. And really imagine trying to push that right thigh down towards the ground. Really finding activation through the front of the right hip, the back of the left leg. And both toes really pull back. More breath cycles. Good. Slowly start to bend the right knee, plant the foot down. Bring the right hand onto the hip. Allow the knee to wing out to the right side as you open the left leg out to the left side. Finding that sense of opening through both hips. Applying pressure downwards with the right hand to really make sure that that hip stays grounded, stays on the block. One more breath cycle. Slowly bend the left knee. And then draw both knees up. Release the strap, scarf, whatever you got. Plant the foot down. Draw the ribcage in, press down through the feet, lift the hips, remove the block out from underneath you. Walk the feet about mat width distance apart and just gently drop the knees from one side to the other. Coming to find stillness, bring the knees in towards the chest, start to rock and roll up and along the spine. Find your way all the way up to a seated position. And then find your way over into a tabletop. Hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. Okay, then we're going to tuck the right toe underneath and just extend the right leg back behind us. Making sure we're pressing down through the hands so we're slightly doming into the upper back. Pulling both hands back and diagonally to the back corner of the mat. So the right hand pulls diagonally back right, left hand pulls diagonally back left. As you next inhale, bracing through the abdominals, kick up the right leg, use the glute. And exhale, drop it down. Keeping the hands pulling back into the diagonal, lift up the right leg. Bring the leg back down. Inhale, pick it up. Exhale, lower it down. As you inhale, start to gently shift the weight forward into the hands. Come onto the tiptoes with your right foot. And then press the heel all the way back, find length. Inhale, shift the weight forward. Exhale, push back. One more time, inhale to shift forward. Exhale to press back. Good, and then bend the right knee, bring it back down. Swapping sides, extending the left leg back behind. Bracing first, pulling the hands diagonally back. And then with your next inhale, use the glute, lift up the left leg. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale it down. One more time, inhale it up. Exhale it down. Inhale, shifting the weight forward into the hands. Exhale, push back. Inhale, shift the weight forward. Exhale, push back. Last time, inhale, shift forward. Exhale, push back. Good, bend the knees and plug both knees down, that's what I was going for. Tuck the toes underneath. Walk the hands back. We're going to come to sit down on the heels with the toes tucked underneath. So we're going to stretch out the plantar fascia at the bottom of the feet. If you're sitting here and you're relatively comfortable, you can always walk the knees further forward to accentuate that stretch. If you're sitting here thinking, dear God, you can always bring a block on top of the heels so you sit on the block instead, so you're not applying as much pressure downwards. Your choice. Okay, to distract you from that, we're going to bring the hands out in front. Turn the hands away. Inhale, open the chest up. And take some baby cat cows here. And as you exhale, turn the hands down. Pull them forward, round the shoulders, round the spine. Chin drops down to chest. Turn the hands away. Inhale, open up. Exhale, tuck the hands down. Chin comes down to chest. One more time. Inhale, lift up. Yeah, I'm still sat on my toes. If you're checking, Sam. Exhale, turn the hands down, pull them forward, really round the shoulders, tuck the chin down, release the hands. I'm going to drop your right hand down by your side, bring the left arm up overhead, stay on the toes. I promise they're not going to break. I have never swept up broken toes. Inhale, reach the hands back up overhead. And then exhale, swap sides, left hand comes down, lean over with the right. Inhale, both hands come up. Exhale, you can come off your toes. Bring your hands down in front. Untuck the toes and gently pat the tops of the feet out. If it makes you feel better, you just did maybe a minute. I had to hold that for 6 minutes on a yin training course that I did. Yeah, it was the most intense thing I've ever done. I cried most of the time. Tuck the toes underneath, push the hips back and up. Find your first downward facing dog. Really focusing here on as normal on spreading the hands as wide as you can. Drawing the fingertips in towards the knuckles. So you've got that bit of a lift through the creases of the fingers. We're wrapping the shoulders out away from the ears. Bending the knees and the hips high. Good. Nice, Matt. Big improvement. Draw the ribs underneath. Yes, there we go. Take one more deep breath cycle in. As you exhale, you're going to start to walk the feet forward towards the hands. Inhale, lift and invite length. Exhale, bend the knees, fold the body all the way down, relax the head. Inhale, sweep and reach the arms all the way up to standing. Exhale, release the hands down by your side. So we're going to do 3 rounds of a basic Surya Namaskar, so a basic sun salutation, just to warm everything up in the body. Sometimes it really just doesn't need to be that fancy. As you inhale, we're going to reach the arms up, keep the ribs in. As you exhale, soften the knees, swan dive the arms all the way down, fold forward, relax the head. Inhale, lift halfway, bring the hands halfway up the shins, press the hips back, find length. Exhale, plant the hands. Step both feet back to a high plank. Taking a deep breath in, drop the knees. Shift the weight forward so we're in this long line and then lower down, chaturanga. Elbows back. Go on to the top of the feet. Press down and notice whether you're only pressing with the big toe and if you can roll onto all 5 toes on each foot. Roll the shoulders back, pull the hands towards you, lift the chest up. Exhale, lower the chest down. Tuck the toes underneath. Push back into a tabletop and then keep pushing back, downward facing dog. Pedaling the heels down, finding real length through one leg and then through the other, trying to get the heel all the way down towards the mat. One heel and then the other. Come to find stillness in your downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. And then slowly start to walk the feet forward again towards the hands. As you inhale, gently when you're ready, lift halfway, push the hips back, crown of the head comes forward, find length. And then as you exhale, bend the knees to fold, belly to thighs, head relax. Inhale, reach the arms, come all the way up to standing, rib cage stays in. Exhale, raise the hands down by your side. 2 more times. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold the body forward. Inhale to lift halfway, find length. Exhale, plant the hands, step both feet back, high plank. Take a deep breath in, drop the knees. Or take a full chaturanga if you want to. Shift the weight forward, lower down, chaturanga elbows to the back. Come on to all 10 toes, push with the feet, lift the kneecaps. Roll the shoulders back and lift the chest, lower cobra. Exhale, lower down. Tuck the toes. Inhale to a tabletop. So I'm going to try and take it not personally. Push back, downward dog. Again, invite some movement. One heel down and then the other. Really trying to find length through the back of the body. And then come to find stillness. Take a really deep breath in. As you exhale, slowly start to walk the feet forward towards the hands. Inhale to lift halfway, head pulls forward, find length. Remember, neck is part of that length. Exhale, bend the knees to fold. Inhale, sweep and reach the arms, come all the way up, standing. And then last time, exhale, we're going to fold straight back down this time. Inhale to lift halfway, find length, straightening the legs. Exhale, good, plant the hands. Step both feet back, high plank. You can choose, you can drop the knees, you can lower through a full chaturanga, elbows go to the back of the mat. Inhaling to find an upward dog or a low cobra. And then exhaling to tuck the toes and push back to find a downward facing dog. Taking a really deep breath in. And as you exhale, we're going to drop the knees down. Walk the hands back towards the knees. Reach the arms up overhead. Reach the fingers up, start to shift the weight onto the left leg. We're going to step the right foot forward. It just stops us having to step it forward from a downward dog. So if that's more suitable for you, when we do the left side, you're welcome to just step it from a down dog. Untuck the back toes, start to sink down into the front knee. Hands come to rest on the front thigh. And just noticing for a moment, noticing a few things. One, where are you in terms of being on the top of that back foot? Are you big toe or are you the whole foot? You'll probably notice when you start to think more about the feet, the hips instinctively align themselves. Squeezing the right knee in towards the midline. So imagine both thighs were hugging themselves in. So making sure we're finding strength as well as softness and then sinking further forward. If you start to sink and feel like you've hit a compression point, there's lots of reasons for it. It could be bone on bone. It could be skin on skin, in which case you can always bring your thumb or your strap into the hip crease and then sink down with the thumb in situ, and it just creates a bit more space between flesh on flesh, and you can go a little bit deeper and then you can release the thumb out. Noticing again the resistance, the urge to want to like tighten up and move, and just try and take 2 more breath cycles. Bring the hands down. As you inhale, we're going to slowly start to straighten that front leg, and we might need to move the hands back to do that. Keep the toes down in the first instance. I want you to pull the right hip back. Pull the crown of the head forward. So again, we're aiming for that long spine instead of that rounded back. Really push the hip back. Good. And then try and pull the belly down towards the thigh. If you are still finding yourself slightly here, bring your block underneath the legs, bring both hands onto it. Walk it as far back as it needs to be, but keep working on trying to push the hip back as if you're really trying to like push your bum backwards, pull the crown of the head forward. One more breath cycle. Every inhale, pull forward and fold over. As you inhale, start to bend back down into the front knee. Release the block if you've used it. Tuck the back toe underneath. Lift up the back knee. And we're going to just shift the weight forward and backwards again. So just trying to find some space in that back leg, in the hip. And then step the right foot to the back of the mat. So you can choose now. You can choose whether you want to drop onto the knees, walk the hands back, reach the arms up, step the left foot forward, or you can choose to push back into a downward dog and step the left foot forward. Up to you. Take wherever you are in your practice. Good, okay, and then drop the back knee. I know where you both are. Come onto the fingertips. Take a second, make sure that that front knee is not going to come past the ankle when you start to sink the weight down. And then draw yourself up, both hands to rest on the thigh. Good, so again, first thing, check in with the back foot. Make sure you're rolling onto all of the toes. It will help to drop that right hip down because it always wants to escape. Squeeze the thighs in towards each other and then start to sink straight forward. So you've got headlamps on the hips. And again, if you're in my world and you hit a point and you're like, nope, can't go any further, bring your thumb into the hip crease. Sink down with the thumb in situ, and it just creates a bit more space for you to lunge a bit deeper. Noticing the resistance, noticing the fact that you want to fight against gravity, and just try to stay with it 2 more breaths. Slowly, we're going to bring the hands down. And we know where we're going. We're going to start to straighten that front leg. So again, if you're using the block, bring it underneath. Bringing the hands to rest on the block or the book. Pull the left hip back. So instead of opening up to the right side to avoid what we're trying to stretch, pull the left hip around. Try and pull the crown of the head forward. It will pull. You will feel this intensify through the back of the hamstring, unless you have no hamstrings. Every inhale, think about pulling head and hip apart. One more breath cycle. Very slowly start to lift up, bend back into the knee. Tuck the back toe, lift up the back leg. And we're just going to shift the weight forward and back. Good, step the front foot to the back of the mat. So you have options here as always. You can drop onto the knees, take a vinyasa this way, back. You can drop onto the knees and just take a cat cow if you don't feel like doing a basic push-up. and then find your way to a downward dog. You choose what fits your practice, just reset the spine one way or the other. Eventually pushing yourself back into your downward facing dog. And maybe starting to notice if there's a bit more length accessible through the back of the body, through the back of the hamstrings. Maybe the heels are coming slightly lower towards the ground without compensating through the spine. Good. Watch the ribs there. Yeah. Good. Take one more deep breath in. Then gently we're going to step the left foot to the front of the mat. Now I know that you both can. Good. Okay. Bring the right foot a little bit closer just so that you can balance. Come on to the fingertips. And again, we're going to think about pulling ourselves forward first. So we always try and start with a long spine and then reach the arms up overhead. Noticing the temptation to make this into a back bend, draw the rib cage in. Try to straighten the back leg, even if that means you come out of the lunge a little bit. And then again, we're going to sink back into the front knee. So try and keep that back leg as straight as you can, really thinking about tucking the pelvis underneath. As you inhale, straighten the front leg. Open up into, well, it would be a warrior two if you're going to bend your knee, but we're not. Notice the temptation. We all want to lock out the front leg here because it feels better for us. Anatomically, you end up with a bow for most of us. Slightly soften it and really lift up the quads. Turn the palms forward. Reach forward with the front hand. Bring the hand down against that thigh. It might come against the thigh, the knee, calf, doesn't matter where it comes. Squeeze the glutes underneath. So you're starting to track the hips forward so they stack evenly on top. Top hand comes towards the ceiling. Good, and you might find that you're here and actually you can go far deeper, that's fine, so long as we're not crunching forward, we're keeping those hips engaged, everything is opening. And if you're not sure, try rolling onto the outer blade of your right foot. Good, as you inhale, gently start to pull yourself up. Turn the left foot in so both feet are facing the long edge of the mat. Bring the hands down onto the waist. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, we're going to, again, micro bend the knees, lift the quads. Start to shift the weight back into the hips. So we're folding forward with a long spine, long neck. And then start to shift the weight forward into the balls of the feet. Hug the elbows in as close as you can behind you. Open up the chest. One more breath cycle, continue with that audible breath. And then slowly, as you inhale, squeeze the elbows behind you if you've forgotten to, and bring yourself all the way back up. Good, turn the left foot back towards the front. This time sink down, actually find yourself into that warrior two shape. So imagine pulling the feet together. So we're not just kind of hanging out here. We want to really pull the feet in, feel the engagement. Rib cage draws in, arms extend away actively, gazing over the left hand. Taking a deep breath in. And as you exhale, gaze goes down, cartwheel the hands down. Turn onto the ball of the back foot. Good, so you want your hands either side of your left foot towards me. So, there we go, that's it. And then we're going to straighten the left leg, keep the fingers down. And then bend into the knee. So you're going to straighten the leg. Bend into the knee. One more time, straighten the leg. Bend into the knee. Plant the hands down, step the front foot to the back of the mat. Take a deep breath in, push back, find your downward dog. I'm going to turn around just so that when I come up to that warrior two shape, I'm not going to be facing away from you. Okay, when you're ready, step your right foot forward. Come onto the fingertips, pull the crown of the head forward, find length first, and then reach the arms up into that high lunge. So same as we did on the other side, you might want to come out of it slightly, making sure that you're straightening the back leg. Imagine you are tucking the pelvis underneath and then try and sink back into the front knee. So this should really intensify everything through that left side. Reach the fingers as high as you can whilst extending the heel away. One more deep breath in, reach higher. And then open up, keeping the front leg straight. Good, so finding Trikonasana on the other side, turning the palms forward. Reaching forward with the right hand this time, bringing the hand down against either thigh, knee, or calf. Back arm reaches high. Squeezing the glutes underneath, so we're really stacking the hips, the shoulders, the chest. And then as you inhale, gently pull yourself all the way up. Turn that front foot in. Bring the hands onto the waist, take a deep breath in. As you exhale, fold yourself forward again, pushing the hips back to begin with. And then shifting the weight forward onto the balls of the feet, so your toes are really hugging the mat to stop you from falling forward. And then this time I'm going to release the hands. And I want you to use the hands actively. So if the hands only just about touch the ground, or if you're on your fingertips, you're going to bring the hands onto a block instead. If the hands, I'll move back so you can see them, are on the ground, I want you with every inhale to pull the ground towards you, pull the collarbones through the space. Every exhale, try and fold elbows, come in. Nice, and keep the weight shifting into the balls of the feet. That's better, good. Every inhale, find length, pull the hands back. Every exhale, try and find a bit more depth. And then slowly, slowly, inhale, walk the fingers forward onto the fingertips. Bring the hands onto the waist. Start to re-engage the abdominals here to brace so you don't shift the weight back into the heels. Good, and then gently squeeze the feet together, come all the way up. Good, turn the right foot towards the right side. Back where you started, sink down into your warrior two. Good, so gazing over the right hand, sinking deeper into that knee. Imagine pulling the feet towards each other, so again, we're not just hanging out. Take one more deep breath in. Cartwheel the hands, turn onto the ball of the back foot, bring the hands either side of the right foot. As you inhale, start to straighten the right leg. As you exhale, bend into the knee. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to bend. Inhale to straighten. Last time. Exhale to bend. Plant the hands down. Step the front foot to the back of the mat. Take a deep breath in. You can choose whether you want to drop the knees and take a cat-cow. You can choose whether you want to drop the knees and take a chaturanga, or whether you want to take a full chaturanga, knees off the ground. Coming onto the top of the feet, pressing down through all of the 10 toes, shoulders roll back, hands pull back, lift the chest. Exhale, come down. Tucking the toes, finding tabletop. And then pushing all the way back to find downward facing dog. Again, noticing length at the back of the legs, noticing the rib cage, hugging it in. Shoulders roll out away from the ears. Head relaxes into that space between the arms. Take one more deep breath, cycle in. One long exhale out. As you inhale, I'd like you to step the right foot forward between the hands. Drop the left knee down. Untuck the left toes. Okay. We're going to start to pull the right toes up towards us this time. Walk the hands back. Good. And again, you'll notice that we all tend to find this rounded shape. So if you need to use a block to find length, use a block. You're going to pull the right hip back. Again, we're trying to think about pulling the crown of the head forward, pull the hip backwards. Oh my God. And then try and fall down belly over the thigh. Every inhale, really try and get rid of that round in the back. Try and pull the head forward, pull the hip back, and fold. Inhale, lift yourself up slightly. I want you to press the heel down into the ground as hard as you can. Micro bend the knee and really press the heel down into the ground. Keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pressing. One more breath in. Release the tension. Straighten the leg back out. Find length. And try and fold. As you inhale, lift up. You're going to plant the toes down. Really pull the toes down. Imagine you're trying to find more length across the whole front of the leg. And then lift the heel up. I want you to slide the heel away. If you're on a block, move the block further down. Do the same thing again. Point the toe. Keep the hip back. Come onto the heel. Start to slide the right leg further forward. All the time, noticing whether as you're sliding, the right hip is starting to open and see if you can pull it back. Pointing the right toes. Pull the toes back onto the heel. Slide the right leg further forward. Move the block. Point the toe. And then pull the toes back towards you. So you're quite a long stance here. So uncomfortable. Okay, bring the hands down if you're on a block. We're going to start to walk that heel all the way back. Walk the hands back, come to sit on the left heel. So your right hip is probably floating off the ground, that's fine. Pull the right toes towards you, engage the right quad, bring the hands behind. And we're going to really push the chest forward and fold over that right leg. Every inhale, thinking about the same thing, trying to get rid of the rounding in the back, push the hip back, pull the head forward. Two more breath cycles. And very slowly lifting yourself up. Plant the hands down, bend back into that knee. Come onto the tip toes of that and really sink the hips as far forward as they'll go. So you're on the tiptoe of the right foot, heel lifted. Stretching into the front of that left hip. Good, and then plant the heel down. Tuck the left toe. Lift up the left knee. Step the right foot back. Give the legs a bit of a wiggle if you need to, and then find your way back to a downward dog. And then gently swapping sides, so stepping the left foot forward. Dropping the knee. Untucking the toe. Good. Start to walk the hands back. Lift the toes on the left side. So again, we're micro bending that knee, so we're not locking out the joint, lifting the thigh. So we're lifting up the kneecap, trying to push the left hip back, pull the crown of the head forward, and try and soften over the leg. One side will be worse than the other. You caught me on my bad side, apologies. Every inhale, pulling the head forward, pull the hip back. This is why I'm grateful the camera's to the side. You can't see my face scrubbing up. Take 2 more breath cycles. Find length. Try and fold. Nice, Matt. Good, so now we're going to lift ourselves up. Get rid of the block if you've been using it, or keep holding it, up to you. You're going to point the left toes, really thinking about lifting up that quad. Point the toe as hard as you can. Imagine you're pushing it down into the mat with the toes. You should feel the calf engage, back of the hamstrings, quads engage. Don't cramp. Release. Pull the toes back towards you. Drive the heel as hard as you can down into the mat. Really press it down. Keep pressing it down, trying to straighten that leg a bit there. Push the heel down. One more deep breath cycle. Really good. Slowly start to slide the left leg away. Oops, excuse my right knee. Moving the block down with you if you want to. Point the toes. Keeping that left hip back, and then pull the left toes up. Pull the head forward, try and find length. Try and fold. Lifting up, slide the left heel further away. Keeping the left hip back, point the toe. Good, and then lift up the toes. Slide the leg further forward, last time. Good, so again, point the toe, keep the left hip back, don't let it pull forward as you pull the toes down. Lift the toes, find length, and try and fold. Good. Okay. Bring your left hand down. Get rid of the block if you're using it. Start to walk the hands back, pull the heel back, come to sit down on the right hip. Good. Pull the left toes towards you. Again, micro bending that knee, hands come behind. Gently push the hip back, pull the crown of the head forward, trying to come down over that left leg. Every inhale, try and find more length. Pull the hip and the crown of the head apart. And slowly starting to lift yourself up. Bend into the knee. Walk the hands forward. Come onto the tiptoes of that left foot. Sink the hips as far down as they'll go. Good. One more breath cycle. Yeah, it's time you put your arms over you, like have really tiny arms. Tuck the toes. Drop the heel. Lift up the back knee. Set the front foot to the back of the mat. And then we're all going to drop down onto the knees. Good. So we're going to come, bring the feet out to one side, find your way onto a hip. And then I'd like you to find a way, however you want to sit, the legs pretty wide apart. If you're super bendy and your legs instinctively go pretty wide out towards a middle split, don't for the purpose of this. Try and keep it about a 90-degree angle, no more than that. Okay. If you notice that when you're sitting, your pelvis tends to do this, and when you pull forward, the sensation is really pulling from the low back instead of tilting forward from the pelvis. Block, cushion, sit on something that will slightly elevate the hips. So I want you to sit on it, especially if you're on a block or a book. I want you to imagine you're really tipping off the front of it. So you want to push your bum as far back as you can, and then imagine that you're going to tip yourself forward. Thing to notice here is you've just created a lot more space underneath the knees, so same as always, making sure you're not locking them down into the space. Instead, pulling the toes up and using them to create a micro bend in the knees, quads lift. Hands come behind to begin with, or alongside the hips, depending on if you're sitting. I've got really short arms, so I might have to come down quite close to me. I can't get them behind. Bring yourself onto your fingertips, push the chest forward, push the hips back, try and lean forward. If you're leaning forward and you're like, my hands aren't helping me too much, you're welcome to bring them in front, but keep them active. Don't just flop out. You want to pull the hands towards you, really pull the collarbones wide. So again, we're trying to fight that resistance. Instead of rounding, pull the hands back, pull the collarbones, and then sneak the hands further forward. Good, Matt. Pull the hands back, pull the hands back, pull the hands back. Good. And then try and keep the hands pulling back. Really pull the fingers forward, but let them keep pulling you back. That's it. Nice, Sam. Slowly start to walk the hands back towards you. Okay, so we're going to engage a bit of a PNF stretch on this one. I was stuck for about a year with my hands like here. I couldn't actually lean forward. I couldn't work out what was wrong with me anatomically. In fact, I argued hell to the leather that there was something stuck in my hip, and I physically couldn't fold over it. That was why. For me, it shifted when I actually started to find some engagement in this pose. I'm going to come off the block because for me, that isn't how my pelvis is aligned. Okay. I want you to imagine pushing the heels down, and then I want you to imagine pulling the feet apart. So what you're doing when you push down and pull apart is there's a tiny muscle called the TFL at the top here, the tensor fasciae lata. When we engage this, it seems to release far more on the back of the body and people are able to fold forward. I was one of them. If I don't push my heels down, this is where I get to. If I push my heels down and out, this is where I get to. It's a complete shifter for me personally, and it has helped a lot of my students. So if you're one of them, hopefully. But yeah, I want you to really imagine with every inhale, push the heels down, drag the feet apart, and try and walk further forward. Inhale again, push the heels down, pull them apart, try and fold forward on the exhale. Keep pushing down and pulling out. Nice, Matt. Good, Sam. One more breath cycle, push down, pull out. Good, and then slowly bring yourself all the way up. Draw the legs together, bend the knees. Good. Bring the hands behind you. I promise toes and hips are not broken. Walk the feet quite wide apart and just gently drop the knees from one side to the other. And one more time each side. Good. Bringing yourself up, bringing the chest up. We're just going to walk the feet together and let the knees fall out. So same again, if you're in the same position, you're here, I want you to sit on the block so that we try to release the low back muscles, take some of the pressure off, and we actually start to move from the pelvis as opposed to the low back. Cool. Okay, so Baddha Konasana bound book. Bring in the challenge the diagonal as you can see. You want to bring your thumbs. You see my feet? Yeah, I can see my feet. Okay. Bring the thumbs to the inside of the feet and gently peel the feet open. So in doing so, you'll allow the knees to open up slightly to roll the pelvis out. Use your webcam, whatever you want to call it. Notice your knees. Notice if one knee sits higher than the other. When we start to work with imbalances in the hips, because with the hips we tend to do everything right and left, we actually just keep the imbalance in the joint. If you notice that you are noticeably more flexible on the left, so if I sit facing you, you'll probably notice the difference for me, right? My right knee is, that's it. That's not going any lower. My left hip, I've dislocated. There's a huge disparity for me in terms of my height. So I will stick a block underneath my left thigh so that I'm working on an even range. I'm not overextending on one side and trying to compensate on the other. So if that's you, just prop yourself accordingly. And then bring the self forward. So use the hands again, push the hips back, crown of the head comes forward. You can bring the elbows in, which is traditional. You're welcome to bring the elbows out if you want to use them against the skin to remind you to pull yourself forward into that space. You choose. If you've got the elbows going forward, Matt, see if you can slowly start to walk them down the front of the shin. There you go. Good. Every inhale, thinking about pulling the head forward again, pushing the hip back. Two more breath cycles. And slowly, slowly start to bring yourself up. Good. Bring the knees in. Walk the feet out and just let the knees drop in for a minute. It probably feel quite awkward. Just close and internally rotate the hip. If you want to come off the block, of course, by all means do so. Take a few breath cycles here. Just slowly start to extend the legs out. So tonight we've done quite a lot of lengthening of this front of the hip, the psoas, the hip flexors. We've also done quite a lot of external work, so we're just going to put things to right, and we're just going to create a bit of strength into that psoas. So we're going to do Matt's favorite drill. I want you to walk the feet fairly wide apart. Bring your prop, whatever it is that you're working with, alongside the right leg. You can choose. You can have it on its lowest setting if you're using a block. You can turn it up. You can be awful to yourself and bring it as high as it goes. I'm staying low. Yep. You're going to bring your hands behind you, well, alongside the right side of the body. So again, you're trying to push the hip back, lean the crown of the head forward. Can't really use a block for this one because you would genuinely fall off. I want you to push down with the fingertips, lift up and forward, and then try and lift up the right leg and over. You might feel this in the quad. You might feel this in the hip flexor if you're feeling it in the quad. It's just because the quad is used to overtaking, basically. It's compensating all the time for lack of strength in the hip flexors. So lift up, lean forward, press down, right leg comes back. And again, up and forward, right leg goes over. Up and forward, right leg over. Try and go as far forward as you can for the last one. Inhale, lift up. Lean forward, pick up the leg and go over. And again. Oy. Okay. Swap sides. Making sure fingertips frame the left leg so the legs are slightly apart. Lift yourself up, and to begin with, just slightly tilt. Push down, pick it up and over. Inhale up and forward and over. Inhale, lean forward slightly more. Exhale over. Inhale up and forward. And exhale over. Okay, last one, make it a good one. Go as far forward as you can. Find length, push down. And pull it over. Good. Up and forward. Go on, Matt. Forward, forward, forward. There you go. And over. Good. Okay. Release. Bring yourself down. Come to lie on your back. Hug the knees in. Just gently rock and roll left to right. And then slowly plant the feet down. Walk the legs all the way down to the bottom of the mat. And come back to where the practice began, allowing the ankles to rest, the feet to fall out. The hands to come down alongside the body, and then move the hands slightly away. Wrapping the shoulders underneath the back. Broadening and expanding the chest and the collarbones. Just finding length with every inhale. Filling the belly and the chest. Exhaling, releasing the body down. Inhaling into the front, filling the belly, the chest, lifting the collarbones. Exhaling, chest and belly empty out. Inhaling into the width of the body. Spread the ribs wide, breathe under the armpits. And exhale, hug back towards the spine. Inhale, breathe into the back of the body. Lift yourself as if you're lifting up and off the mat, all the way up to the top of the shoulder blades. Exhale, lower the body all the way back down. Inhale, fill the belly, the chest, lift the collarbones. Exhale, back down. Inhale into the width of the body. Exhale, hug to the spine. Inhaling into the back. And exhaling to release. Just allowing the body to rest in Shavasana, corpse pose. Slowly starting to wiggle the fingers and wiggle the toes. As you inhale, reach the arms up overhead and behind you. Stretch yourself out from end to end. And then gently start to bend the knees. Plant the feet down and roll onto your left or your right side. Curling yourself up and pausing for a moment. Keeping the eyes closed, gently begin to press down through the top hand, straighten the top leg. And push yourself up from a sideways position into a cross-legged or any other seated posture on your mat. Keeping the eyes closed, bringing the hands to rest on the thighs or onto the knees. As you inhale, really sitting up tall, stacking the vertebrae, taking a deep breath all the way up the body. Open the mouth, exhale it out. Inhaling all the way up the belly, the chest, the spine, the collarbones. Open the mouth, exhale back out. Last time, inhale to fill the belly. Exhale out. Gently lifting the corners of the mouth and just noticing how it makes you feel. Extending the arms out in front of you, rub the hands together to generate some heat. Bringing the fingers over the eyes. Blink the eyes open into the darkness behind the hands. Spread the fingers to let light back in slowly. And then gently release the hands down. Namaste. Thanks, guys.